So that's one of the things I want to talk about the vacation, and maybe extending it a little bit further.
What?
Had some time off, and I think I've got some other things, some other cats I want to skin, some other things I want to get into.
He was the genius behind Fast and Loud, a quiet craftsman who built impossible cars and carried the show's heart. But in 2017, Aron Kaufman suddenly walked away from fame and fortune. What happened behind the cameras revealed betrayal, burnout, and a truth far darker than fans ever imagined. The boy who built dreams from scrap. Aron Kaufman's story began in the small town of Crowley, Texas. He was born on January 26, 1982, into a family that worked hard but had little to spare. His father, David Gerald Kaufman, spent most of his days fixing cars for long hours and small pay. Their life was simple, sometimes even tough, but it was filled with the smell of oil, metal, and determination. From the start, Aron was fascinated by machines. While other kids played with toys, he played with tools. When Aron was 10, he did something that surprised everyone. Their old lawnmower had stopped working. Instead of throwing it away, he took it apart using a kitchen knife and a screwdriver. Not only did he manage to fix it, but he made it work better than before. The mower cut faster and stronger, and his father could hardly believe it. This moment lit a spark inside Aron that would never fade. Most nights, while others slept, Aron sat with his father's repair manuals, patterning each page carefully. He wanted to understand how things worked. Sometimes he fell asleep with those grease-stained pages still in his hands. By the time he was 8, he was already driving his grandfather's old Ford F-100 truck. That truck wasn't just a vehicle to him. It became his world, his escape, and the beginning of his lifelong love for cars. By 12, Aron turned his backyard into a small workshop. He built go-karts from old engines and discarded shopping carts. These weren't simple toys. Some could speed up to 35 miles an hour. His creativity amazed the neighborhood, but his experiments sometimes came with danger. One cold evening in December 1994, while testing a homemade exhaust system, a small explosion burned his arm so badly that he needed 23 stitches. He could not use his right arm for weeks. The family had to spend their holiday savings on hospital bills, and that pain stayed in Aron's memory for years. Still, he refused to stop building. His mother wanted to hide his tools, but he had already stored spare ones in an old shed behind the trailer. It was not a rebellion. Aron didn't know it yet, but this dream would take him from that small backyard to the biggest car shows in the world. It would also test his patience, his loyalty, and his heart. But that same fire that pushed a young boy to build from scraps would one day lead him into a storm of fame, rivalry, and betrayal that no one could have predicted. From dropout to Dallas prodigy, as Aron grew older, his curiosity became something much bigger. By the time he entered high school, his hands were already seasoned with oil, and his mind was years ahead of his classmates. He wasn't the kind of student who cared much for textbooks or lectures. What fascinated him most was the sound of an engine coming to life after hours of work. While other students were talking about sports or parties, Aron was busy in garages around Crowley, fixing engines for a few dollars. He often skipped school, not because he was lazy, but because he was working. At just 16, he earned more than many adults in his town. He could rebuild engines, repair transmissions, and bring broken vehicles back to life. When the school principal once searched his locker, they found it full of cash from weekend jobs, money he had earned with his own hands. His shop teacher, recognizing Aron's rare gift, quietly helped him stay enrolled even when attendance rules said otherwise. His nights were a mix of noise and determination. He would sneak out of his bedroom window with a flashlight and work under the stars, repairing engines until sunrise. His parents worried he was overworking himself, but Aron didn't care about sleep. For him, fixing engines wasn't a chore. It was freedom. Every machine he fixed taught him something new about patience, precision, and pride. At 18, Aron enrolled in college, hoping to study engineering. He worked hard, maintaining a solid GPA, but something about classroom learning didn't sit right with him. He wanted to build things, not just talk about them. When one of his professors mocked his custom transmission design, calling it unrealistic, Aron decided he had enough. He had already built that same design in real life using $50 worth of spare parts. That moment was the final push. Aron dropped out of college after only one semester, breaking his father's heart. His dad had worked extra shifts to pay for his education, but Aron believed that real experience mattered more than any degree. It was a bold choice that came with real consequences. The family lost power for 3 months because of unpaid bills, and they had to light candles at night. Aron took on more jobs to help his parents, often borrowing tools and parts from anyone who would trust him. Then came a devastating accident. In late 1999, Aron modified his dirt bike to increase its power and entered a local race. During a jump over a ravine, he lost control and crashed at high speed. His right wrist shattered, and he needed surgery to repair it with metal pins. The hospital bill reached thousands of dollars, forcing the family to sell their beloved 1968 Ford F-100, the very truck that had started his passion. Watching it leave their driveway was a moment that broke Aron's heart. But even while recovering, Aron's mind stayed focused on one thing: building. He couldn't let go of his dream. By 2002, his skill had started to attract attention around Dallas. He was no longer just a local mechanic. Then, one ordinary day in a Dallas garage, a stranger walked in, a man who would soon change everything. He watched Aron work for just a few minutes before realizing he had found someone extraordinary. The birth of Gas Monkey Garage. This man was Richard Rawlings. He owned a small car shop and was searching for someone who could turn his ambitious ideas into reality. When he watched Aron tear through a complex rebuild with calm precision, he instantly knew he had found the missing piece. Their personalities couldn't have been more different. Richard was bold, loud, and business-minded. Aron was quiet, focused, and deeply passionate about craftsmanship. Yet, together, they created something that no one in the Texas car scene had ever seen before. That partnership gave birth to Gas Monkey Garage, a name that would soon become legendary. In those early days, the shop was just a dream held together by hard work and late nights. Aron worked tirelessly, fixing, welding, and reshaping cars that most people had already given up on. He believed that every broken piece of metal could be reborn with enough patience and creativity. As word spread, Gas Monkey started attracting attention. Their custom builds were unique, not just because of how they looked, but because of how they performed. Aron's touch made every vehicle special. His ability to merge design with engineering gave the garage an edge. Their big break came when Discovery Channel came calling with an idea for a new reality show called Fast and Loud. It promised fame, exposure, and money, but it also came with a hidden cost. When filming began in 2012, Aron's world changed overnight. He was suddenly surrounded by cameras, producers, and tight deadlines. The goal was no longer just to build perfect cars, but to do it fast enough for television. For millions, Aron was the quiet genius, the calm hand that turned rust into gold. His beard became iconic, his precision legendary, and his modesty made fans adore him. But behind the cameras, the reality was far more exhausting than anyone imagined. In the beginning, Aron played along. He thought it was all part of the fun. But as the seasons went by, something started to feel wrong. The builds became riskier, the deadlines shorter, and the stress heavier. One of their most daring projects involved merging a Dodge Charger body with a Viper 510 engine. It was a massive challenge that nearly bankrupted the shop. The electronics wouldn't cooperate, and costs were spiraling. Despite the success, cracks were starting to show. Aron wanted each project to be a piece of art. Richard wanted it to be a product that sold quickly. The difference between those two visions slowly started turning into tension. Their friendship began to shift into a business relationship filled with creative clashes. Then came the 1969 Chevy C10 drag truck build. It was supposed to be one of their proudest moments. Instead, it turned into a nightmare. During a high-speed run, the engine exploded, sending metal fragments flying and injuring a woman in the crowd. Aron paid her medical bills from his own pocket when insurance refused to cover the accident. That day, he realized how fragile success could be and how easily it could turn into guilt. The fame of Gas Monkey Garage was growing fast, but the pressure behind the scenes was growing faster. The same passion that had built Aron's reputation was now turning into the very thing that might destroy it. Fast, loud, and breaking apart. The fame that seemed glamorous from the outside was slowly becoming a burden. The show wasn't just about cars anymore. It was about drama, arguments, and ratings. And the more popular it became, the more control Aron started to lose. Richard and the producers began focusing on television-friendly stories, while Aron cared only about the craftsmanship. He wanted perfection, not production value. Their biggest test came with the Ferrari F40 rebuild. It was one of the most complex and expensive projects they had ever taken on. The car had been wrecked, and restoring it meant stripping it to its bones. Aron poured his heart into that rebuild, even consulting Ferrari experts to make sure every detail was accurate. But just when he thought the car was ready, Richard decided to change the paint color from Ferrari red to black, against Aron's wishes. That disagreement revealed something much deeper. Aron realized that he and Richard saw cars in completely different ways. To Richard, they were entertainment. To Aron, they were emotion, art, and precision. Their differences grew louder with every project. By 2016, the tension had reached its peak. Then came the De Tomaso Pantera build. The car was a challenge even for Aron. It demanded custom modifications, fine-tuned engineering, and time, something the show no longer allowed. Producers kept pressuring him to rush, to cut corners, and to make it more exciting for TV. For Aron, that was the breaking point. He couldn't stand the idea of sacrificing quality for ratings. Every fiber of his being told him this wasn't why he became a builder. He began to withdraw from the team, often working alone in silence. The long hours, the pressure, and the constant filming had started affecting his health. He suffered panic attacks and sleepless nights. And then came one final argument. One so public, so bitter, that it would shatter their partnership and push Aron to walk away from the fame he never truly wanted. The walkout and the fallout. By early 2017, the tension inside Gas Monkey Garage had become unbearable. Aron Kaufman, the man fans saw as calm and collected, was breaking down behind the scenes. The final blow came during a motorcycle build. Cameras were rolling, producers were pushing, and Richard was, once again, making decisions Aron didn't agree with. He felt humiliated in front of the crew as Richard overruled his ideas again and again. That day, something inside him snapped. Without saying much, Aron closed his office door, walked past the cameras, and left the building. The crew thought he would return the next day, but he never did. Production stopped for 3 days while the Discovery Channel tried to bring him back. But Aron had made up his mind. He was done. To the world, he was a TV star, vibed living the dream. To him, it had become a creative prison. The garage he helped build had turned into a stage, and the work he loved was now controlled by scripts and sponsors. Not long after, fans were shocked when Aron quietly posted on Facebook, announcing his departure from Gas Monkey Garage. He didn't write much, just enough to say goodbye. He admitted that the last 5 years felt like 20, and that it was time to move on. His message sounded less like a career update and more like the end of a long, painful relationship. But walking away didn't mean peace. Rumors spread quickly. Leaked documents revealed that Aron, the face of Fast and Loud, was being paid far less than expected, while Richard's earnings soared. Insiders claimed that Aron's work was responsible for most of the show's success, yet his contract never reflected that. The betrayal stung even more when he learned he had unknowingly been training new mechanics to take his place. After leaving, Aron tried to start over. Discovery gave him his own show, Shifting Gears with Aron Kaufman, in 2018. It promised more creative freedom, but the spark was missing. Without the old team, the show lacked chemistry, and the pressure of running everything alone wore him down. Ratings dropped, and after only 12 episodes, the series was canceled. Critics said Aron looked tired, distracted, and distant on screen. They weren't wrong. Things got worse when lawsuits began piling up. Some clients accused him of abandoning expensive custom builds worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Whether the claims were exaggerated or not, the damage to his reputation was real. The once-loved TV builder was now being painted as unreliable. But just when everyone thought his story was over, Aron came back with something new. A workshop that would rise from the ashes, face disaster, and transform into his greatest creation yet. From fire to fortune. In 2018, he reappeared, quieter, humbler, and more determined than ever. This time, he didn't want to build for television. He wanted to build for himself. That dream took shape as Arklight Fabrication, a workshop in Dallas focused on custom parts for classic Ford F-100 trucks. The idea was simple, but powerful. Instead of rushing through flashy TV builds, Aron wanted to return to pure craftsmanship, slow, detailed, and personal. He designed parts that could turn old trucks into modern masterpieces while preserving their soul. In 2019, disaster struck. Late one evening, while the team was away for the weekend, a fire ripped through Arklight Fabrication. The flames destroyed nearly $50,000 worth of rare Ford parts, including some Aron had spent years collecting. When investigators examined the damage, they discovered that the cause was faulty wiring, and the wiring had been installed by Aron himself. Yet behind the growing success, Aron's personal life was becoming more difficult. His long work hours strained his marriage, and financial pressure returned when his crypto investments collapsed, wiping out over $1 million. Then came a health scare. One night in 2021, while working alone in his shop, Aron collapsed. His appendix had ruptured, and he was found unconscious by a colleague hours later. After 2 surgeries and months of recovery, he was forced to slow down. That moment changed him. For the first time, he realized that rebuilding himself mattered as much as rebuilding machines. He hired more staff, reduced his workload, and started going to therapy. Slowly, he began to feel alive again. By 2023, Arklight Fabrication was back on its feet. The business grew internationally, selling custom wheels and restoration parts around the world. Aron's comeback was complete, but his story wasn't over. He was about to embark on a project that could define the rest of his life. Redemption on Route 66. By the time 2024 arrived, Aron Kaufman had already lived a lifetime of highs and lows. He had tasted fame, betrayal, success, and heartbreak. Yet, through it all, one thing never changed: his love for building. Aron's new focus was something no one saw coming. He had quietly started buying up cars connected to the history of America's most famous highway, Route 66. His plan was to restore 12 vehicles that once rolled along that legendary road, including a 1949 Ford F1 and a 1962 Chevy Impala, used in the original Route 66 television series. He wasn't doing it for profit or fame. He wanted to preserve a piece of American history, to capture the spirit of adventure and freedom that once defined an entire generation. The project quickly caught attention. The National Park Service and the Smithsonian reached out to collaborate. Even Discovery Channel, the same network he had once walked away from, expressed interest in turning the project into a documentary series. For the first time in years, Aron considered stepping back in front of a camera, not for ratings, but to tell a story that mattered. The total budget for the project exceeded $2 million, funded partly by private collectors and partly through crowdfunding from fans who still believed in him. By late 2024, everything seemed to come full circle. Arklight had grown into an $8 million business with clients around the world. Aron often said that his greatest project was not a car, but himself. He had learned that success wasn't about attention or money. It was about control, peace, and purpose. The same curiosity that drove a boy to fix a lawnmower had evolved into a philosophy of life. Build what you believe in, no matter how long it takes. And now, with the world finally watching again, one question remains. What is Aron Kaufman planning next? And will it be his greatest creation or his final risk? Share your thoughts with us.